Time for a Game Gear review. Oh. The first for this channel, actually. How exciting. Woody Pop gets the honors, released in 1987 by Sega. This was actually released on the Master System first, but only in Japan. Usually that wouldn't interest me at all and I wouldn't mention it, but that was actually the last game to use the My Card, which was a sort of memory card that held games, that was manufactured by Mitsubishi Plastics. It could also only be played with a special paddle controller that wasn't compatible with any other games. But enough of that, let's focus our attention back to the Game Gear version. I don't own a Master System.
Readers of my blog RetroGameon.com might be aware of my turbulent history of Game Gears, which is why it took so long to get around to this review. The first one I picked up in 2011 was actually from a swap meet in France. Yes, I know, I have a weird French accent. Haha, jokes aside, I was there on holiday. It's a wonderful country. Anyway, it was there I was introduced to the frustrating world of Game Gears. Long story short, they were all manufactured with shitty capacitors that are all starting to fail 20 years later. I tried to fix one by replacing those, but failed. I then tried again last year with a different unit, and while the capacitor transplant went A-OK, the goddamn contrast wheel fell off. I kid you not. I did not have the skills to reattach it since it wasn't simply a case of resoldering it back on, so about a month ago I splurged the money in buying one refurbished, and here we are. Just to set the scene, I'll first get out of the way that this is an Arkanoid or Breakout clone, but I better start by addressing the abnormally Game Gear shaped elephant in the room. I will be using emulation for this review. Yes, I know. What a sham. The fact is, I do own this game on the Game Gear and play it on original hardware regularly, but as much as I love that stupid hunk of black plastic, the screen is absolutely terrible. I had a super hard time capturing video straight off the screen for this. Here's an example so you understand. It's a lot easier if you're looking at it in person, but the way it handles the viewing contrast makes it impossible to film. Unlike Game Boy games where I have the Super Game Boy so I can play it from my SNES, plus being able to capture footage using my Elgato, no such equivalent to my knowledge exists for the Game Gear. So if you're the owner of the rights to this game and want to sue me, please don't. I have no money. Plus, I do own it for reals and I am going to give it a favourable review anyway, so maybe sue someone who has more than a Nirvana themed coffee mug to their name. I do realise I've been babbling though, so let's get reviewing. You control Woody Pop, a wooden toy thing. It's set in the Enchanted Mansion, where all sorts of joy and rainbows seep out through the cracks. It's a toy factory really, but the joy is short-lived as an evil machine has started blocking off rooms. You must destroy those barriers by bouncing a ball around, knocking out the bricks, and making sure the ball doesn't fall through the gap. Sort of like a one-player Disney-inspired air hockey game really. Certain bricks will release power-ups, one which looks suspiciously like the Twitter logo, which will help in your endeavours. There's quite a few of them so I won't list them all, but just so you get the general gist, one will increase the size of Woody making it easier to reflect the ball, while another turns it into a fireball creating more destruction on the happiness blockades. There are some boxes that if hit will release little evil toy minions that get in the way and generally piss you off, but it stops the game from being too easy. There are also permanent nails in some levels that can't be destroyed, meaning you have to destroy blocks around them. I should also add that parts of the bottom are walled, meaning there is less chance of you losing a ball, making this game overall quite forgiving next to comparable titles. One really cool thing about this game, which is ahead of its time, is the ability to choose which level to go to next, as opposed to the path being preset. You of course don't know what the level will be like unless you've played it before, but it's cool you can choose different parts when you restart, as there is no save points. The game doesn't really punish you for playing poorly unless you really care about high scores. You get unlimited continues, with only the score being lost when you run out of balls. The thing is though, the only real reward for earned points is more balls, but if you die, you get to continue playing regardless. It doesn't make much sense to me, the only caveat being that you have to restart the level you're on. Theoretically, you keep playing until the end, failing every second go, with the only real negative being that you can't show off a high score later. The graphics in this are fairly good, although a bit basic, but it's up to scratch with what you'd expect. There is plenty of detail crammed into the Game Gear's small blurry screen. Everything is nicely drawn and animated. There are also some nice details thrown in regarding Woody Pop himself. While his appearance is a far cry from how he's represented on the cover, he's still brimming with character nonetheless. Just look at those seedy, shifty eyes. Beautiful. I also noticed his slow blink of defeat every time a ball falls through. I do the exact same thing. The gameplay, music and sounds are maybe a little less memorable though. If there is anything awesome about them, it did not stick out to me, although the music did remind me of Seinfeld for some reason. Then again though, a lot of things remind me about that show, it might as well be about my life.
Woody Pop is easy to pick up and play, and the relative easiness makes it accessible to many. It would be great for trips, but as long as that trip is under an hour and a half, or you have the extra pocket money to buy 6 more AA batteries. The storyline might be a bit weird, but if you can ignore that and want an Arkanoid or Breakout clone on your Game Gear, then this is the game for you. It seems to be quite cheap too, even online. All the listings I saw were $10, so it's probably even cheaper in the wild.
Hey there, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you've just watched, then please consider a subscription. I release a new video every week. I also have a Facebook and a Twitter if you're into that type of thing, as well as a blog where I recently wrote about a local retro gaming store and some boxed goods I've recently come across. There was also a link to my 2 previous videos, one of which being an interview with the owner of that store. That's all for today though. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.